Hello, this is Lisa LaRose here on Connect to Love on PRNFM, and it's an absolutely gorgeous day, and especially wonderful because I'm being joined by Michael J. Russ. Michael, how are you? Welcome. I'm so excited for today.
I'm awesome, and I'm just as excited as you, and, our topics are always awesome. We got a really cool one on deck for today, and I can't wait to get started and see where this goes.
Yeah, no, exactly. I completely agree. So, Michael, indulge me. I get these wonderful notes from the universe from Mike Dooley, and they just come in randomly. And my note from the universe came in a few days ago. It really struck a chord with me. And so I shared it with Michael, and I said, you know what, I think this would be a really fun place to play. So I'm just going to read it real quick. It just says, sometimes having more fun and being happier comes from looking for each in unexpected new places instead of waiting for them to come where you found them before and where others are now finding them. And I do mean unexpected, not from the old standbys of travel, adventure, and romance, but from stretching, reaching, and growing, accepting new responsibilities, accepting other people for who they are, and accepting you don't ever have to figure out the hows, whos, whens, and wheres. And then a question that said, did you expect that, the universe? And I was just like, wow. So many times, Michael, you and I have talked about letting go of the hows, the whos, the whens, the wheres, even the whys. I think for you and I, happiness and fun is often found in very unexpected places. Both you and I tend to dare to look beyond what is familiar, and we sort of stretch things beyond what is considered conventional. Neither you or I think, wait for joy to arrive on our doorstep. We just allow it to flow. And I'm really excited for this topic because, I would encourage each and every one of you that you can create a richer, more fulfilling experience just by reaching and being willing to grow. Michael, you have reached, I'd love to put a plug in for what your new adventure is because, you have recently taken yourself out of your comfort zone and explored something that was very new to you. And it's these 1-minute video shorts about high-frequency golf that is they're just like amazing. And the thing that I found so incredible about them is you just shoot them on the fly. You're not scripting it out. You're just like, okay, I'm driving. Oh, you know what? I got an idea for a video. And you've got these beautiful long arms and you reach out and you just let it flow. I am just so blown away. So I just want to, if you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience, like just, because there's fear, intimidation. It's something new that you haven't tried before, but you have stretched beyond that with those great, beautiful long arms of yours. I don't have that skill set, but
wonderful for you to say that twice.
So,
yes, they are 35 inches long. All right, they're 30, more than 35.
Long.
More than that, actually, with the sleeves. But it's funny. I wrote a golf book back in 1998 called Powerful Golf, and ever since then, I have been really looking for a way to help people use golf as a platform to be better at life, be better human beings, find more joy in life, let more joy and more happiness out, more passion out in life. That's the way I see golf. I see golf as a place, a platform for learning how to have a fun, joyous, and passionate life, how to be resilient. Golf teaches you can learn resilience from playing the game of golf because it's a single, it's you literally engaging with a landscape. That's what you're doing. You're engaging with a landscape. Somebody has designed it to put obstacles in your way, and you have to figure out your way around those obstacles to achieve your goal. And in life, we face all kinds of challenges and that just come out of nowhere, and we're facing ourselves in the game. And a lot of people There was a statistic, it was a number of years ago, about 10 to 20 years ago, I heard this statistic that more people were quitting the game than joining the game. And,
really?
Oh, yeah. It was like, we're talking about millions of people quitting, millions of people joining the game. And my question was always, why are these people quitting? Tiger Woods was a fascination for a 15-year period of time, where he was a dominant player and a player that just had such charisma and presence that he brought a lot of young people into the game. The issue and the challenge is that he makes it look easy. Professionals always make the game look easier than it really is. And I don't care whether that's tennis or golf or other games that are out there that you can play. They make it look easier, the moves they're making, and their ability to score and to win. And so a lot of people went out thinking, I can just go get a set of clubs and go to the driving range, and I don't need lessons, and I don't need this, and I can go out and I can enjoy myself just like Tiger is. The issue is that it's like life. It's like an attempt to be happy and joyous in life in this very harsh reality called the earthly plane, as non-physical beings being physical beings thrown into a world where reality, drama, negativity reign, and then they go to golf and they go, wow, this is just like the rest of my life. There's drama, there's negativity. I've got obstacles in front of me that I have to get through, and if I fail, I beat myself up. And a lot of people were leaving the game, in my view, because they were disenchanted by the depth that they had to go to in order to be successful at the game. And it's a mind game. It's played between the 5 inches between your ears. Once you go out and you approach it properly of getting lessons and learning how to grip the club and moving up the ladder, and you have to be excited and passionate about doing those little intricacies. As with anything, if you're going to go play volleyball, you really have to learn how to hit the ball, where to stand, the nuances of whatever game it is. Pickleball, same thing, very popular, a lot easier to learn for people of all ages. However, there are still nuances that you have to practice and get good at. And the confidence that you can get from doing that is amazing. So literally I've been looking for a way to help people enjoy the game more, bring more excitement and passion back into their game, and that's what the videos really are all about, is little quick snippets of the mental side of the game, how to use the 5 inches between your ears to have more fun, be more impassioned by the game, to want to go out and practice, to want to go out and whatever. And it's like anything else. If you're going to do something like make videos like this, you have a passion for something. I have a passion for golf. I wanted to help other people play it in a way that I play it, without all the frustration, without all the anger and beating yourself up and all of that goes with it. Then I just shifted my perception, and I said, I can do this. Here's how I can do this. I've got to whittle this down and do this simply. Make them engaging. Be energetic and passionate, because that's what I am. Just let that come through. And it was so easy. It was insane how easy it was to have ideas. I think I did one day of practice. I did 4, 5, 8 videos just to kind of see what I looked like and see what the message sounded like. And I've never looked back from that. I haven't even published any of those videos, those practice videos that I did. I just have an idea, thought in my head, pick up the phone, and I turn on the camera and start shooting and make sure I stay under a minute and get my point across. There's a beginning, a middle, and end, and it's perfect. And I love it. It excites me. It was, as Bashar said, do things in every moment that excite you. If you have a choice between two things, pick the one that excites you the most at that point, and then do the other one next.
Right.
It's wonderful. And when you said...
I love them. No, go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
I'll finish this one thought. Looking, what you said about looking for happiness and fun in unexpected places by stretching, right? By stretching, reaching, and growing. That literally is the explanation, the definition of what I just did. And the word that came to my mind is the word that's always on my mind, which is a shift in perception. What is holding us back in many cases from stretching, reaching, and growing are various negative perceptions we have about ourselves and how we interact with the world around us. We have negative perceptions.
Right.
And in order to find happiness and more joy and more fun in unexpected places, we have to not demonize those places or not create negative perceptions, negative narratives around those places. And then we can enter them without all the baggage.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what I had started to say, Michael, was I love the fact that you brought up the fact that you practice. I mean, just because we have to practice something doesn't mean we suck at it, we're failing at it, or whatever it is. Really, truly, like, it's okay to practice. Like, and it's about embracing that discomfort. Like, you're not really quite sure how it's doing. It feels a little bit awkward, maybe a little intimidating. Like, but you're stepping out of that comfort zone.
It can.
And that discomfort is really a stepping stone and not a roadblock. And I think by, like, embracing that initial awkwardness, and of course, like, you kind of got to find, like, oh, maybe that angle's not so good, or I'm not speaking loud enough that it's capturing but I mean, I just see the videos and I see your beautiful smile, and it's like that's, I mean, you just, like, you can feel it through the video, and I think that's what's so appealing about them, is because it's natural. And that as you've kind of gone through this little exercise in personal growth, I mean, it may seem like a small thing, but it does give you a newfound sense of confidence. And with that confidence, it's like the accomplishment with it, and then that surge of happiness that you may not have felt. Like, guess what? I really did that. And then you put it out there into the world, which is intimidating again. Like, is anybody going to look at this?
True.
And then you start getting a few hits, and then you get a few more, and then somebody shares it. And guess what? I mean, it's, does it have to go viral? No, you're not expecting it, maybe that one, but who knows which one might.
The whole, I agree with you with one thing. I agree with you with, number one, all of those things, actually. And, what you said with regard to the how and the why and putting some sort of end result on the whole thing is not what I did. I didn't want to put an end result on it. Like, this needs to lead somewhere, to this thing, to that thing. My intention was, and is, to simply create an unscripted, energetic tip about how someone can use the 5 inches between your ears to literally shift their perception of the game, so that, and themselves, so that they can maybe go practice more, maybe go get lessons, maybe do whatever they need to do, watch golf videos on YouTube. There's some really good ones, and then go out and practice those things. Get energized. It's a great way to be outdoors. Everybody has a certain level that they can play to, and that's the level they're going to be. I mean, like I said, there's no way in the world I'm going to be Tiger Woods or the upper 1/10 of 1% of professionals, making $50 million a year. That's not me. That's not the goal. That's not where my commitment to practicing and playing the game is going to. That was not my commitment. The commitment is simply, if I can help someone, and it's like you start with one person, and it's always it. If you can help one person shift their perspective about the game, then you've actually achieved your objective, and you've achieved success. And that's really what it's all about. Nowadays, it's like, oh, how many likes you got if you don't have likes, because you're attaching it to likes. I look at the likes. I want to see if which topics are engaging, and I want to do more of those topics. That's all. That's all. Just do more of those topics, and because that's what is engaging to people. Now, that everything you said at this point is all about, again, your perception of the new. Something new that you should try. By the way, the videos are all unscripted, just like this show, and I like it that way. I don't want to get too knee-deep in thinking about what I want to say. I want it to come out of my head. I want to channel it out there. That's what I want to do. Whatever it is that I think of is what somebody who's going to watch needs. And I just have to trust that I reach that person.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think that's what I really loved about Mike Dooley's quote, through
it's a beautiful quote.
The stretching, reaching, and growing. Like when I was and I remember this so funny, like when I was a little kid in kindergarten, we used to there was like a little rhyme, and it's like, bend and stretch, reach for the sky, stand on tippy toes. Also, do you remember that?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
My gosh, where did you learn? Where'd you remember that one from? That is so true.
Well, you know what? Because I saw that stretch, and I thought, well, what is that? It's like that. Oh, like whether it be yoga, right? And you're bending, and then you stretch, and then you just reach it. And I was a rock climber, and I was just telling the guys at my job site today, I said, one of the things that I learned when I climbed, because climbing is a very individualized sport, and I always wanted to do an overhang. And, I'd go to the climbing wall, and I'd be all like tethered in, and it's like I just couldn't reach over to get a hold, to grab my hand in a hold, and I would, as much as I would try to I'd hang from something, and I'd try to move my legs and anchor them into a position, and so I could push myself up with my legs. It was not happening. Didn't matter how much arm strength I tried to use. And then this guy said to me, he goes, you know what? He goes, all you have to do is twist your body. He said, if you twist your body just a little bit, he said, you're going to extend your reach. And guess what? I tried it, and I got over that. I got over the overhang. And I was like, oh, my gosh, something so simple. Just, and as you said, like perspective, twisting just a little bit, moving, and reach up, and guess what? You got it. You got it. Good for you.
I love it. Yeah, that is spectacular. And what a illustration of simply moving outside of actually gaining new knowledge to overcome a particular challenge that you have for yourself. Enlightenment's pretty high up on the totem pole when it comes to frequencies that you can resonate. It's right up there with love, and that's because of the fact that it opens so many doors to feeling more love, more joy, more happiness. And the worst thing you want to do, I think the worst thing anybody can do, is simply stay in their own little box, to not stretch and not reach and not enlighten themselves with new information so they can grow. And one of the major reasons is because there are new generations, new successive generations, and the people who are raising them, who are parents of the new generation, are only going to be able to pass on what they know themselves and what they know to be true. What if they, as parents, stretched, reached, and grew, and then as examples, and then passed that on, those feelings and that knowledge on to their kids, helping them understand that they can do the same thing and be anything that they desire in life. Living from your mistakes is no way to live, really. Living from your mistakes and failures without seeing them as opportunities to shift your thinking. Like you shifted your thinking. You had somebody as a catalyst to help you shift your thinking, and you had success. And that success brings with it all these positive feelings of love and joy, self-satisfaction, fulfillment, those things that we want to be feeling every single day with everything we do. Right? That's what we want to feel. And it takes the stretching, it takes the reaching, it takes getting out of our comfort zone, moving out of the box, and meeting somebody new, and shifting the perceptions that we thought about. I can tell you something. On occasion, I come across somebody who says, I did this thing, and if I hadn't done that, I'd have never met you. And I go, really? And that's true. You never know what you're going to encounter if you decide to go to venture out left instead of going right all the time. Never know where you're going to end up, who you're going to meet, how your life is going to change, what joy and passion and excitement and love you're going to discover and fun by going in a different direction in life.
Right.
And it's evidenced by one thing. I don't know if you've done this. I know I have. I used to do it in California all the time. I would take the same route to work. And on a Saturday, when I didn't have to go to work, and I got in the car and I started out on that same route going somewhere else, how many times have you done that and actually gone to the place that you would go to during the week? I would actually, through rote, just without thinking, make that right, make that left, get off at that exit, go over, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait, this is not where I wanted to go, but this is what I do every single day, right? Go to that office. Mm-hmm. You take that route instead of taking a different route altogether to get to where you needed to go, instead of the route that you usually take. You know, you might see something different, you might encountering something different. You might be like you all the time. You tell me that you get this notion to go somewhere and you simply do it. Which I love about you, by the way. I love it. I love it about you. You know, tell our audience about that because it's just so spectacular.
Which part of it? I mean, you know, it's funny because Pittsburgh is not built on a grid system. First of all, let me just preface that. So it is built in the shape of a triangle because we're landlocked. We've got these three rivers that flow, and so you have these very unusual streets. And right now they're doing a lot of construction. So you'll be driving and you think you're going to go somewhere, and nope, they've got it completely blocked off, and you got to figure it out. But oftentimes what happens to me when I do take a different route, there's something that I've never seen before. And there was, I had an event that I did in Pittsburgh. I had brought in Freddie Silva, who was doing a thing, and I had said, well, we're going to bring all these people together, and we're not going to interrupt the flow of the class. I'll make sure that lunch is delivered. Well, lunch couldn't be delivered, so I had to go pick it up. Well, on my way, in the way best laid plans of mice and men, right, is the tunnels were closed for whatever reason. I couldn't get through the tunnel, so I had to go up over the hill and down around. And as I was driving past this thing and stuck in traffic because, of course, everybody's going the alternate route. And I turn to the right, and I see the most magnificent stained glass angel I've ever seen in the shop that I never would have seen before. And I thought, I'm going to come back. I want to find out about that angel because I loved it. It was magnificent. I was stuck in front. I was like, who created that? And so I did. The following week, I came back, and the man who he just, I swear, he's like Louis Comfort Tiffany reincarnated. He creates so much glass, some of the most amazing things. And I asked him about the angel, and it was in my price range. And I'm like, sold. And I have that angel in my house, in my kitchen, and I love it. I love it. And then he did another piece. I have several pieces from him. But what's so interesting is another good friend of mine said to me, you know, I really want to learn how to do stained glass. I said, well, you know what? I met the most amazing man. And this man, Joe, invited him into his studio, taught him how to do it, didn't charge him, didn't expect anything from him, was happy to teach him and share his knowledge. And now this friend of mine is creating amazing, beautiful pieces of glass as well and bringing joy to lots and lots of people. But it never would have happened if I hadn't gone that alternate route. And I think that it's such a metaphor because what hidden treasures are scattered throughout the vast landscape of our lives. Yeah. When we stop looking for them in the familiar spots and we break out of the predictable routine, what joys are waiting for us? And for me, it was this amazing angel. But when the sunlight comes in through my window, I just love it. I love it. It makes me so happy.
I did that same thing I bought a stained glass piece from a woman at a show. It was a seashell that had been cut as a sort of bisected. So what you saw was the beginning of the shell curving around and showing the various compartments all the way to the center. It's so beautiful. And
wow.
Yeah, she put it within put a stained glass around it. And I'm sitting here. I look at it all day. It sits right here up against my window, and the sunlight shines through it. And I look at it, and it just reminds me of how infinite, life is, and that we're always alive. We're in various incarnations of our soul self, and it just keeps going on and on and on, and it's just wow, and that's just one of the many thoughts I think when I look at it. But you have that. It's there are so many cool things going on in most cities in America, and a lot of the time people tell themselves, I can't go to that. Either I can't afford it, or that we're thinking from lack. I don't want to deal with traffic. I don't deal with the people. However, some of the most amazing things, and I know this happens with you, that I have found in my life that bring me joy to this day, just looking at them, have come from just seeing something in the paper and going, I'm going to go there. That sounds neat. Energetically, if it resonates with you, go do it.
Yeah. Truly. And sometimes it's unexpected things. So yesterday I was in Baltimore for the Antique Roadshow, and I have to tell you, so I stayed in the most amazing, I'm going to give them a shout out. It was the Staybridge Hotel.
Yeah.
And when I booked the hotel, the one word, which is totally my word, was that described the hotel. Somebody had left a review, and they wrote one word, wonderful. And I was like, that is where I want to stay. And I was going to do a review that says wonderful, wonderful, and wonderful. It was such an amazing experience. But I had, to get up and go, and I went to the Antique Roadshow in the morning, and it was so funny. I had these pair of sandals on. I had to wear a dress. It was very hot, 90-something, 94 degrees, I think it was yesterday. And it was so hot that it actually melted the sole of my shoe. So I'm walking in with these two items, and my sole of my shoe is literally disintegrating as I'm walking. And my friend that came and helped me, she's like, your shoe is disintegrating. I'm like, let's just go. Like, we'll just keep going. I don't care. Like, it's just my shoe. By the time I got up to the front gate, the whole bottom fell off the bottom of the shoe. It was hysterical. And so I said, well, I'll get checked in. She ran back to the car and got me a pair of shoes. Thank goodness I had another pair of shoes. Like, I was just staying for one night. So
yeah,
I bring one more than one pair of shoes. So I brought a pair of tennis shoes. So I'm in this sundress, and I got these tennis shoes on. And it was just kind of one of those magical days, because you know what? I was just going with the flow. Whatever was going to be like unfolding was going to unfold. And it was amazing. I met some of the kindest, most warm people that, just all of the staff were absolutely incredible. And they, you kind of go through the thing. I didn't know what to expect. It was my first time through any event like that, and there were lots of people, and everybody was curious about what everybody else brought, which I think was really fun. It made like the whole thing. There was a lot of happiness and joy and what people were bringing and the treasures they may or may not have. But you know what? They saw them as treasures, even if they weren't, the highlight of whatever the show was going to be about, or they didn't get picked to be on the actual episode. It was so sweet. This one little girl brought something that had been in her grandmother's china cupboard, and the appraiser was so gentle and so sweet and said, tell me about this object. And he said it was in my grandmother's cupboard. It was a bell, and he took the time to make a difference in this little girl's life and make her see how special it was, even though it was only worth maybe $10.
That's
and
fantastic.
I just, it just really filled my heart. It really, I can't tell you, Michael, it just, for him to make that time. And, I met with the first appraiser, and then I met with the second one. And, again, such a delightful individual. And, they're not, the object that I brought a lot of curiosity. And, he asked if he could leave the object with him, and he did. I did, and kind of was off to the side. And then they brought up one of the show producers to talk to me about some different things. And he said, "What do you do?" And, of course, that's a loaded question. That's exactly what I said to him. I go, "That's a loaded question. What do I do?" What do I do? It is. And so I gave them the short, simple abbreviated version. But they were so kind and so gracious to me. And here I am in this dress with these tennis shoes. And so I said, just go with it, right? Just go with it. It's the unexpected hidden treasures of my life that kind of just brought me down different paths. But they actually picked me to be on the episode, and next thing I was being escorted back to the what they called the green room. They did makeup. I'm like, oh, well, this is good. The girl they had a hair person, and I'm like, good luck with this because it's humid, and I'm just going to go whichever direction it was. And then when they took me over to where they were filming, the one gentleman, he was so sweet. He was a lovely French-Canadian guy, put a mic on me. And he set me in front of the camera, and I said, well, please excuse my tennis shoes. I said, my shoe disintegrated on the way in here. And I don't know. I think it was just, rather than me going into like, oh, my God, I'm so embarrassed. My shoe broke. I got to put these tennis shoes on. I'm worried. I mean, what do you do? What do you do? I had fun. And it was a great, amazing experience. And it was just, everybody there, and the gentleman that did the appraisal, he was so knowledgeable, and it was interesting because the cameraman said, "Don't look at the camera, just look at him and have a conversation." I honestly, in the time that they did, I didn't even see them there. I was so engrossed in what he was sharing with me and being present. It was just, it was amazing. It was amazing.
You're the perfect person to do that. And it's a great story, by the way. And what's interesting is
is shoe disintegrating?
Yeah, the shoe disintegrating story will be the thing you're telling people in 20 years. Yeah, the road show, you went there, you did that, but let me tell you, that's the story that you're going to tell. And this is the interesting thing, we have to fall in love with our foibles. Fall in love with our little challenges, or as people want to call them, adversities, whatever. We have to fall in love with those moments where we are challenged, and because those are the moments that stick in our head. And if we can laugh at them like you are doing, then you're going to, for the rest of your life, every time you think about that moment, it's going to bring you joy instead of pain.
For sure. My friend, we went to lunch after, and she said, you were determined. She said, just keep going. She said, as your shoes literally disintegrated, the whole bottom falls off, you're like, just keep going. She goes, you're going to let it stop you. I said, no. I said, it was fine. I said, they were just two different heights. I still had the top of the shoe. Didn't matter if I didn't have the sole of the shoe.
No, it's so hilarious. That's so hilarious. It's interesting. I have the story that my girlfriend loves people to hear for me to tell is this. I'll do the abbreviated version, but we back about 18 years ago. It was probably about 17 years ago. We went to Spain, and it was before the internet was super prominent, and it was before cell phones and GPS. We had flip phones. And we got off the plane in Malaga after 7.5, 8 hours of flying or whatever, and rented the car, got our luggage, put it in, and I had discovered that I didn't have one shred of information that I brought with me that would tell us where we were going. The resort.
Oh, my.
Yeah, the resort we were going to. And she said, what? I'm going, oh, gosh, I left the paperwork on my desk. I didn't have the address of the resort. All I knew was the name of it. I'm in Spain. I don't know where this place is. I have no address. I don't know which direction I'm driving in. And I said, well, I remember that they had an address in Cadiz, which was probably 4 hours away. And I said, let's head to Cadiz. And we took a drive along the Riviera, along the ocean, and we saw the Rock of Gibraltar, the Mediterranean, and I said, oh, that's kind of cool. Rock of Gibraltar, when am I going to see that? Look at that. There it is.
Yeah, sure.
Went around to Cadiz, and Cadiz is a pretty robust city. And I had no idea. I said, I've got to find somebody who's got an internet. And everybody we ran into didn't speak English. So I ended up stopping at a bank. I said, let me pull over here. Just calm down. She was beginning to get incredibly irritated, and as most Tauruses do, get irritated. And I said, okay, all right. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to see if I can use one of their computers to look this thing up and get an address and get us back on track. It was 4 hours, 4.5 hours had already gone by. We got there at 1:30. Long story short, somebody in the back, I went to the window and I said, "Se habla inglés?" And I no habla español, and they said, "Oh, he's okay." So this guy, and I said, "I need to use computer, internet." And he goes, "Oh, see." He took me back in his office, and I sat down at the computer and I looked up the name of this place, and I got an address. And then I said, where? He goes 2 hours, that way. And I said, okay. So I basically got on the road going in that direction. Literally, I just really went back to the east, right? We come all the way around west, and then get back on the east. And I made a wrong turn going towards Seville. About a half hour in, I recognized, I said, I don't think this is the right way. I stopped off at a rest stop, showed him the address and whatever, and he says, no, it's back that way, hour and a half. Started to rain really badly, and I was on the road, and I was just driving really, really fast in the rain on this freeway.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I got to get there. She's like about to blow her top here. She's been trying to keep it in there. Even though I've given her a nice tour of the country she wouldn't have seen otherwise, which was really kind of cool. I saw the most interesting solar panels I'd ever seen.
I bet.
They look like trees. I said, those are solar panels.
Wow.
Really? You can do that? Yeah. So anyway, we got there, we got down, and I got to tell you, this is the funniest part of the story, and that is that I was almost to this place, and I said, well, I see the sign. It says Benaloop. This place is located in Benaloop. Okay, that's great. So we're in the right city. But I got to know where it is in Benaloop because, there's no GPS created at that time. So I pulled over to this little bar. I pulled over to this it was like a little mobile home that was elevated up, and it was turned into this little guy's bar. And this was all farming community around there, right? They're farming. It's sherry country, basically. They grow whatever makes sherry. I think it's grapes. And so I parked the car, left it running. I said, I'm going to run in here, and I'm going to ask him where this place is. And I walked up the steps. There was like 8 steps. I walked up. I walked through the door, and it was like one of those. I was in one of those Western movies where somebody walks through the double doors into the bar, and everything stops. The piano player stops playing. The bartender is cleaning a glass and totally freezes. Everything in the place froze. The 4 guys playing cards at the table after a long day, they stopped. They looked at me. Everybody at the bar, the whole place, everything just stopped because I walked in, right? And really, it stopped because here is this black guy walking into a bar in the middle of Spain where black people don't live, number one. It's only Spanish. It's like I'm an anomaly walking through the door, and everything stopped. When I tell you everything stopped, I mean I looked around. It was so surreal. Everyone stopped what they're doing to look at me, the bartender, everybody. And I looked at the guys at the card table, and I said, "Se habla inglés?" And he goes, "No, bartender." And the bartender said, "Sí, poquito." And I said, "Fine, a little bit." I went to the bar, and I said, looking for Fair Play Golf Tennis Resort. He says, "Oh, see, 2 kilometers. You see circle, you see sign."
Oh.
I said, "Gracias." And I turned around, and I said, "Gracias" to the guys at the table, and I walked out the door, and everything went back to normal. but everybody, and it was a surreal moment. I got in the car and I told my girlfriend, I said, "You're not going to believe what happened. It was like I was in a movie, you know." And she goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And she started laughing. And we didn't make it to the resort in about the next 10 minutes, you know. So anything can happen. Cool. And literally, this is the one story that she has me tell that has everybody just laughing like crazy.
Laughing, I know. Isn't it funny?
But it is. You can experience that.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's those unplanned moments that bring us joy. And they really can be so memorable and so transformative. And I think sometimes, and that's I think what the message from the universe that I got and about going, it's like, okay, so let go of your rigid expectations. You know, your girlfriend, of course, would prefer that you had the instructions and the address, but, you know, allowed it to, like, okay, well, let's take this road, and you're just open to the unknown of what you're going to find. And, you know, you kind of created this space for this adventure and this delight and things like that, and walking in and that happening. It's like, I think that maybe Blazing Saddles was like that. I don't remember. Yeah. I remember a scene in like that.
That's very, very true. And by the way, I'll just put this caveat on there. When we left, the airport was only 1 hour and 45 minutes away.
It is really.
She goes, we drove around for the entire day. And yeah, but you know, it was kind of cool.
But who knows? Maybe you avoided an accident. Maybe you avoided an encounter. Maybe there was something from your past life history that you needed to reconnect with.
Exactly.
I mean, whatever it was. And who knows? Maybe. Yeah, inspire the people that you met. You know, there's a movie that came out many years ago with John Cusack, and I love the movie title. It was Serendipity.
Yes,
and I love that. I can watch that movie and never get tired of rewatching it. And it's still as magical as it is. Yeah. But I think, you know, when you create that space for those serendipitous moments, that's really like the delight and the surprises that come from there. Like, I look at all of these different things that I consider to be serendipitous. And, you know, even the joy that one appraiser, I mean, I was next to the one guy, and I got to witness that tender exchange for that little girl. Like, it just filled my heart. It really did. It filled my heart. And I'm thinking, that's a serendipitous moment.
That's
to
true.
Be able to be there.
That is so true. I love it. And that movie, boy, I tell you, I think we talked about that like 3 years ago on a show. It's just we must talk about it for 15 minutes or so. It's such a fabulous movie, and it's so well written. And John Cusack just plays it so well. And the other young lady too, I don't know her name, but it was a love story that occurred, that happened via serendipity. I mean, there's always all these serendipitous moments. You know, you meet someone and you think, oh, it's not a big deal, blah, blah, blah. Then you meet them again somewhere else, and then you meet them again somewhere else, and then this happens, and that happens, and somebody doesn't make it, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's kind of like, if it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. And you just leave it in the hands of the universe. You know, you leave it in the hands of your guides, of your higher self, your angels, whatever. And you say, you know, and miraculously, in many cases, that it just occurs. And somebody had told me a long time ago that, interestingly enough, she said, there isn't a person that you've ever run into in this life that you haven't run into in a past life. You have some sort of exchange with. Either you were sitting next to each other on the train, you never said hello, but you were sitting next to them, and that some past life you had some sort of connection, cross paths with that same person. I said, wow, that's an interesting way to look at things. And I remember that because kindnesses should be our modus operandi. You know, it should be commonplace, because you don't know anything about the people that you encounter, what they're going through, what's happening. You know, and I just came back from the store before this show, a grocer, and I had to go get some corn on the cob because it's corn on the cob season, right? It's fresh. And the woman who checked me out said the strangest thing. And she said, I was checking out, and I said, yeah, no, this and that, talking about the corn and other things, and what a beautiful day and whatever. And she says, have a blessed day. And I said, it's always a blessed day. And she says, yeah. She says, sometimes for me, I just wish God would just take me. It's just like I'm going, whoa, hang on a second, hold on.
Whoa.
What are you talking about?
Sure.
Where'd that comment come from? And it turns out that she was new to the city. She was new to the city, and she didn't know anyone. And I said, there's so many things going on on this beach and in town. Just when she says, well, I'm working here, part-time, whatever, this and that. And I said, when you're not working, and I gotten this impression that she'd had some financial issues in the past, or maybe before I got this job, I said, that's cool. Let's talk about now. Get out and just meet people. This is a place to do it. Get out and walk around. Go to some of the free events. There's a free concert every Thursday across the street, every Thursday night, and go and enjoy it.
Right. Sure.
And you'll meet people. If you love yourself, if you're not beating yourself up about your situation, which can tend to happen. People, if they've gone through some sort of trauma or some sort of adversity or challenge or whatever in their life, and they're still carrying it with them, it could be something that they're still, preying on themselves about. They're experiencing the guilt from it, or they're not forgiving themselves for it. And one of the things that I, again this morning heard is we have to employ forgiveness all the time. It's something that we think back on the things that we say, what am I carrying? What kind of baggage am I carrying? From something. What is it? Just ask yourself that question, and then literally forgive yourself for your part in it. You can't go back and change it, but you can learn from it, and you can shift your present reality and your perceptions about the future, yourself and your perceptions about the future, by revisiting it and just forgiving yourself and letting it go, letting it fly away in the wind.
Absolutely.
And that is so vital, because a lot of people are carrying relationship trauma, work trauma, just moments in their lives where everything perhaps to them fell apart. They weren't seeing at the time that there's another reason for that happening. They're not focused on the opportunity. They're focused on the why and how and the event and the pain that they're feeling based on being in that moment, that place, at that time. And, we have to, I would encourage our listeners right now, think about that one thing you're carrying with you that, it just seems to be a mainstay that you just haven't been able to get rid of. Well, the way to get rid of it is to simply forgive yourself for it, for your part in it, the role you played, the decisions and choices that you made along the way. Just forgive yourself for them, because carrying it with you doesn't bring you joy. And the whole idea is to live in joy, and that's here in the moment of now. You don't live in joy about something from the past as much as, hey, I'm feeling joy, love, and kindness towards myself. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling magnificent right here, right now. Because this is what creates the future, right?
Well, and it was truly a serendipitous moment that you were in her line. I mean, even just if it's over corn. You invited her to say, don't just wait for it to come to you. Here goes that stretching, reaching, and growing. Reach out. There's a whole community out there. And whether it be attending a public event, you're not comfortable with that, there's Meetup where you can find almost any interest. You're looking for some people to go hiking with. Go on. I mean, there's all of these different groups on Facebook. You can find almost anybody. I go to the local Panera, and there's people. They have a game night, and there's another night that people bring in puzzles, and I like watching these people play mahjong. And I don't know. I'm I know I'd love to do that. So maybe I should take myself out, and if I really want to learn that game and be true to who I would be interested. I'm really curious about it. So maybe I should step into that room and just say, hey, guys, how does this work? How do you join your group? Can you teach me how to play? But you can apply that to anything, right, Michael?
Yeah. I think it takes a little bit more than just, hey, how does this work? That'd be every stepping into a bridge a bridge session, bridge card session, and saying,
I know,
"Hey,
it does look
how do you
a
play
little
this game?" And they're like looking at you like, "What are you talking about? How do you play this game? This is not a teaching forum. This is a playing forum."
Yeah. No, I know.
There's always that one person. Hey, how do you play this? This is really a lot of fun. What?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Think about,
but it is. It's about reaching out, right? It's about that same thing. Bend and stretch, reach for the sky. Like, what's up there? What can you reach for?
Right. Mm-hmm. Figuring it out. It's fun though. Life, even the moment when they tell you this is not a play, this is not a teaching forum. If you don't know how to play, you can't really sit down and play because nobody has the time to teach you. Even that is an opportunity to say, oh, maybe I should pivot to go read a book or figure something out. Find somebody who can teach me. We did that with dominoes. I love playing dominoes, and we played dominoes on the cruise. We played dominoes in Turkey. We played dominoes. We just take them with us and just sit down and have some fun and just enjoy being in the moment, doing something that we very much enjoy. Golf clubs don't go everywhere.
Right.
They don't go everywhere.
I love that you said that though, because when you told me that you were playing dominoes, that's not in my skill set. But I'm curious about it too. I'd love to learn how to play dominoes. I just know, when I had a set, you just set them up, and I'd do the thing where you set them up and have them fall over. I don't know.
Yeah, they are good for that. They are good. They are good for that. The thing is, dominoes. We've taught three couples here how to play. We've taught.
Nice.
It's a game you actually can teach someone how to play while you're playing it. We play Mexican Trail, and it's a very easy game. My in-laws taught us how to play, and when they come up, we play. When we go down there, we see them somewhere, we play, and we've taught other people, and it's actually easy. It's not complicated, and it's something that you can play for 2-3 hours easily.
Nice.
And just enjoy yourself. And for people who are kids that are stuck on their phones, it's a great activity because it does involve the mind. It does involve strategy, not complicated strategy, but strategy nonetheless. I think any child can learn how to play the game, and it's one of those really fun things that a family can do together. Just like card games. It's a lot of fun. And you can go places, and it's something you can do when you go camping. It's something that you can do when you're in a hotel room and it's raining outside and it's thundering and storming or snowing or whatever. It's something you can have fun doing with other people. And if somebody doesn't know, you can easily, quickly teach them. As you go along, right. They learn. And you make new friends, right? You make new friends. Stretch it out. Learn how to play
dominoes. That's great. That's great. I will. I'm sure that there's a YouTube video that I could probably be able to, explore and learn a little bit about that. But, it is. I think so much, Michael. So much of this is just unlocking a world of possibilities that can make all the difference in your life, my life. It's our pursuit of joy, happiness, laughter. It keeps life vibrant and exciting. And
it does.
Really,
it does. So true.
Mm-hmm.
It does. This is the interesting thing about what we do on the show that I love so much is how we just, we're so passionate. You're so passionate. I'm passionate about what it is that we're talking about, and we have no idea where the direction of it is going. And
absolutely not.
For those of you, before this show ends, let me just put in this little plug for the podcast, Connect to Love, because it is the place you can go where there's an archive. You can listen to other shows. You can share it with someone, and they can download the shows and listen themselves. There's lots to unpack in our shows. Hopefully, we do it in a way that is fun and inclusive, because you are part of our life here on the show. Although we don't know you, we love you, we care about you, and it's the place you can go to share this show, other than listening live here on PRN FM. So I just want to put that out there. And one other thing, my YouTube channel is High Frequency Golf with MJR. M is in Michael, J is in Joseph, R is in Russ, just the initials, MJR. And they'll find that, definitely so. I don't know how much time we have left. Do we have a lot?
We have about 5 minutes left, actually, believe it or not. We do have about 5 minutes left.
Well,
go ahead. No, and I just wanted to mention because, when we do the show, it is totally done unscripted. It's done from our heart. And, what I find so fascinating, and we have people from all over the world, and we just have some new people that are listening to us from Hungary, which I would love to welcome you. I mean, Ireland, Canada, of course, the United States, down in South America, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, and you never know, like, because we do this from the heart, like, whomever is listening, it does fill our hearts to know that we have new people that are tuning in and finding us and resonating with the message that we share. And and it really truly is about the connection. One appraiser, it was so interesting because he said, I had on a pendant, and he said, glowing, and I said, well, it's reflecting my aura. And he said, oh, there's somebody that you would probably get along with and would like to meet. So afterwards, he brought me to introduce this to this gentleman, and I said hello in the introduction, and I said, well, and I'm not really sure how the podcast came up, but I said, oh, well, I do a podcast, and I said it's all about our connection to love. And he's like, love? He goes, oh, he's like, he said, I know about that. And I said, well, that's what it's all about, sharing that connection, sharing that heart connection. And I truly feel that unexpected ways, if you embrace the journey, you can unlock a whole treasure trove of experiences just waiting to be discovered. And your life can blossom with newfound joy and fun, and you share that with others, and just seeing it, other people's faces illuminate. I mean, that's my soul food. I mean, and I know it's your soul food too, Michael. And I'm gonna let you close out the show because I think we have like 3 minutes, so I'm gonna let you close out the show. And I just am grateful to each and every one of you who listen.
Well,
and
definitely.
To you, Michael.
Well, thank you. I mean, listen, it's something. The show today is about stretching, reaching, and growing, and moving beyond the boundaries that you set for yourself, socially, emotionally. If you're not experiencing the love in your life, you're not experiencing the love of self, because it all starts with you. I mean, it emanates from within. And I tell this to people all the time who are actually looking to meet other people, that I ask the question: do you love yourself? Do you like yourself even? Do you care about yourself unconditionally? And it's sort of a mind-boggling question to them. It should be so simple, right? It should be easy. Like, yeah, I do. However, we put so much pressure on ourselves, to be perfect, and to be conforming, and to not make waves, right? And maybe where our friends are, acting are of a certain ilk, and we don't want to say the wrong thing, or we might, get their ire, so to speak. We might get their dander up because, or we might be ridiculed. Well, so what? We have energy, and our energy that we're putting out shifts and changes based on what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and where we choose to focus. And so, for us here on Connect to Love, the idea of stretching, reaching, and growing is, this is a really deep subject to unpack. I know we've done our best here on this particular show, this episode. However, I would encourage our audience to think about what in their lives isn't working for them, what no longer holds any relevance for them, and examine the perceptions that they have around that and why they feel that way about it, and then say, this is for me, this is not for me. And then if it's not for you, change it. Just move away from it. Shift away from it. And shift your perception of it. Don't leave it as a thing you don't like. Just simply say, now it's a thing. It's important, in my view, not to start labeling things as good or bad, right or wrong. There's only positive and negative, really. And so if you're feeling negatively about it, you can actually feel neutral about it. You can just say, oh, it's a thing. That's just something that happened, something I went through in my life. It has no longer any importance, right, in my life. It's just an event. And we have to just see events in our life that way and not build this whole monolithic mindset around it to the point where it rules over our emotions, where we're not allowed to feel, we don't allow ourselves to feel joy or love, self-love, because we did this thing or this thing happened to us and we are ashamed of it. And we shouldn't be ashamed. It's just a thing, right? It's just a thing. So let's stretch beyond it. Let's reach in another direction. Whatever direction you choose, there is no right or wrong. There's no direction that's wrong for you. It's whatever direction you're being guided to move in, that you sense that you should go. Do that. And leave that thing behind and move into new territory. It'll create new thought. It'll create new feelings and emotions. It will, in many cases, produce miracles for you, miracles of thoughts. You'll meet people you never thought you could meet. You will have experiences that you never thought that you could actually have in your life. And that's what I would encourage our listeners to do, is to just that. Go back and examine those things that are making you feel anything other than joyful, loving, alive, passionate, and just let them go. Process them. Forgive yourself and move on from them. That's the only way you're going to be able to stretch beyond them. Don't let them define you. And that's my piece.
That's beautiful.
Life can be awesome. Life can be awesome if you want it to be.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Michael. And thank you, all of us, for joining us today. And I just, on the notes from the universe, I'll always give you a PS. So this is the PS from the universe, and I'll just let you kind of ruminate on this. And it's logistics are us. Logistics -are us. And I thought, that's it. We don't have to do anything. The universe is going to take it. It's got our back. So, yeah, thank you, Michael. That was just beautiful. And wish you all an amazing week, and looking forward to next time.